What's up guys, Draconia here with another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today I'm gonna do a top 10 for, I would say, mid of August, on probably the end of the LOE campaign. I don't know if the next release on Wednesday is gonna be part of the campaign or not, so let's call it for the end of the LOE campaign for now. I'm not calling it this, what they call it, join my clan, whatever thing. That's a weird name for that. Just call it, I'm gonna call it LOE campaign. Don't care. Before I start with the tier list, as always, I don't own every single unit on this list, so there will be some units that I can only judge from fighting in PvP, and therefore maybe you have another opinion about the unit than I do. It's just what it is. But then now let's start. I will start at the top because this is the least surprising thing about this list. It's always the same. So Ultra Frieza number 1, Namek-Goku at number 2, Kaioken Goku at number 3. I think this top 3 is very clear. I don't think anyone is surprised by this. If you're playing PvP in the last few weeks, you know who the top 3 units are, most definitely. I could see, if someone wants to argue this, ordering that you could argue Namek-Goku actually like on a shared spot with Ultra Frieza. And when I say shared, I mean both being number 1, not a number 2. He could be not this Namek-Goku's number 1 and Frieza's number 2, and you can switch it out. I mean literally both at number 1. Either that or Namek-Goku at number 2, and then Kaioken Goku at number 3. I see some people putting them on a more switchable place, but to be honest, I think Namek-Goku is just too much of providing and influencing meta way too much for me to put them on a shared list. But quickly talk about Frieza. I mean, you know how this unit is. Best color in the game because there's no proper unit to stop him. Best damage, unstoppable force spectating. The strongest individual unit right now in the game when it comes to damage and being basically unable to stop anything from his attacks because no one is type advantage against him in the meta. That's important, and as well as his Death Beam spam, which can even sometimes ignore unique gauges, for example for this Kaioken Goku, or even Metal Cooler who wants to build up gauge by getting hit. So yeah, the strongest unit right now, nothing else to say. Namek-Goku. Now the reason I can argue these two on a shared spot, or I can see it, is because Namek-Goku's value overall for the whole meta is just unmatched. This guy does literally do everything. He's healing, he's supporting, does good damage, he's providing safety, literally everything. Literally everything, on top of having the lock-in ability to potentially snipe units, his AoE green cards for priority gaining, and later on maybe if his full unique gauge he can immediately lock you in, has a blue card that cancels your buffs, which can cancel type neutrality if it's cancelable, for example for this Metal Cooler, and then you just have additional feint chance which can win you games. If your opponent doesn't have like Namek-Goku on the team and a unit with a second life, and not with who doesn't have a second life mechanic gets hit by him, you could rush him. Like Kaioken Goku, let's just say you play Kaioken Goku on a pure Saiyan Saga team, he gets locked and rushed, you basically win him. So these Namek-Goku is basically essential for your team in order to have the safeties on basically every team that's even relevant. So no question that he has to be the second best unit in the game in my opinion. Only reason I don't have him like over Frieza, because honestly from what he provides, I think he's even better than Frieza, and he would probably age better than Frieza. But Kaioken Goku does still exist as the one important red unit to kind of stop Namek-Goku offensively. And Frieza doesn't have that. Frieza doesn't have a proper unit that can just tank his hits like no one right now can. It's just, he is just running completely free And honestly, as long as it stays like this, I will always put Frieza over him. But if anything happens that shifts the favor more in Namegoku's favor, let it be that either Frieza gets a bit more countered, or even Kalkin Goku gets countered with a new blue unit, I can see putting Namegoku over it. But right now, this is where I would leave it. Again, if we want to have these two guys on the same spot, we could. And then Kalkin Goku, offensive powerhouse, maybe the hardest shooting unit in the game, or the second hardest unit. These two are contention for the hardest hitting units in the game, obviously. Also, almost no unit to stop him, except maybe a Feed Coup every now and then, who can tank his hits, unless he's using his Solar Flare or the Green Card, generally speaking, to get type neutrality, and then hit every unit as hard as he could. Very strong unit, nothing really else to say. His Disrupt is also really good, and except for against Ultra Frieza with a Special B Cannon, he can just stack up damage guard, destroy cards permanently with his unique gauge and then stop combos. So a good offense and defense unit at the same time. Again, already mentioned the reasons why I don't have him. These two guys shared. I think his value is Namegoku's value is too strong for the meta, as well as, again, he has a unit like Feed Coup exists that can stop in a bit. And also, if you think about the best teams in a game, it's always these two. Kalkin Goku is not the must-use on this perfectly. This is one of the best teams in the game, but the second iteration would be with Krillin, and these two are all included, and Namegoku is also, generally speaking, also included every single team, with almost no exception. Yeah, so this is the top 3. Again, I don't think this is anything surprising. Number 4, I have Super Vegito. Last list I was kind of unsure where to position him, but I think at this point I'm pretty confident at him being the number 4 spot. He's just consistently always doing what he needs to do. He's tanking, disrupting, and also dealing solid damage to good damage. There's honestly nothing really else to say about it. He just fulfills his role as a defense type unit, as the best defense type unit in the game by far. Just very good. He does what he has to do. He has a solid team with Namegoku and then maybe, for example, Kefla or even Frieza. Like, you could run these 3 together, or with Kefla, with Kalkin Goku, whatever. He always does his job. He's disrupting, tanking hits. Like, if I'm playing PvP and I have Ultra Frieza, the one unit I actually don't like facing is actually Vegito. Like, as a one unit, I would say it's Vegito, because he's just tanking forever, and I can't really kill him most of the time. Him and Namegoku because he's more toxic. Like, Vegito is just annoying to kill because it's just hard to kill, and Namegoku is just toxic with all his stupid stuff that he has. Don't know why they gave him buff removal on this stupid ass blue card and Fate, because yeah, they thought this was fun, but whatever. Don't know why I keep talking about him. Yeah, but Vegito, overall, really good unit. I like what they did with his equipment. Very successful with it at number 4. Number 5, I have Kefla. Pretty sure. Well, Kefla is, I would say, a very good... I think this is the prime example of how units should be in their new game philosophy, because she's like a really hyper-offensive character, but terrible defensively. But I think this is something that should be. I think they wanted to have units with different roles. Like, Vegito is a perfect example of a good defense unit. He's not broken offensively, he has solid offense, but he has very good defense, and he exceeds in his role. That's what, and same with Kefla, she's a very good damage dealer. She has a good team, like you can run these 3, I think this is her best offensive setup, and she does what she has to do. Now, obviously, if she gets hit, for example, this could be a problem, and she's not immune to things like the Solar Flare, for example. But if she has the full unique gauge, also he can just build up a lot of damage. Like, she's hitting very hard, so Kefla's not a unit you should underestimate in PvP. But I think Vegito, the reason why I have Vegito over her, and last time I think I had Vegito like at 5 and she had 4, but because at this point I think I've seen Vegito being consistently doing what he has to do in Kefla is a kind of situational thing because she doesn't have that good defenses. So there could be situations where just she could hurt your team more than she helps, and I think Vegito doesn't have that. But overall, very good unit, no complaints, and I don't think many people summon for Kefla necessarily. Yeah, just wish they made, and I talked about this last time, the red Gogeta equipment should have been red Zamasu, because that would have been a great fusion team, even though his lock-in kill could be an issue, but besides that, it would have been fun to have Fusion Warrior as a team again, because no one's running Fusion Warrior, sadly, which I hope they would do. But it is what it is. Yeah, that's for Kefla. Very good unit. I like her. I don't have her, but I like what she does. I think she's a good unit. Not toxic at all and everything. So, number 6, I have Krillin. Now, Krillin, I think you could swap these two even, if you wanted to. But Krillin, same as Kefla, for me, has this situation of he is situational, I would say. Because most optimal situation is he survives like basically at least 100 timer counts. And at that point he's just healing the Frieza Saga team so much and providing so much damage and subcount reduction and every other thing and so on, that this team is basically unstoppable and you always basically completely win the match because you can't kill this team with a bunch of healing, subcount reduction from everybody, the healing from him. It's just too much with this team. But if you mess up with Krillin and he dies early, you're wasting your KO guard also, and then it's more easier to kill the team. So it really depends, because I think when it comes to meta relevance, he's obviously better than these two, I would say, because it's either these three on the team or these three on the team. But it's just Krillin himself isn't that great. I think many people downplay Krillin because of it, because he's like, oh, he doesn't tank well, and he doesn't do any damage, but it's like, his support is so crazy for the team that I don't wish, like from talking about 1% Sparkings, because I did a video about this, they all lack the damage guard, because it's just like, they all have like 170, and the main LFs all have 200, it's just not enough. Krillin is the only unit where I'm like, don't buff his defenses, just don't. If he had actual good defenses, Jesus Christ, this team would be like this team is already cancer to fight, but imagine Krillin with actual good defenses, holy, this would be another issue, bro. So, I'm glad that he's as weak individually as he is, because otherwise it would just be too much. But I think the value he just brings to the team is too much to downplay him like under like what 9 or something like that. I think he's a solid 6 position. You could swap him with Kefla, but I'm not putting it over Vegito because I think Vegito just has consistent good results, and Krillin is a situational thing. Again, if you catch him and if he gets caught in the wrong timing and gets killed immediately, it's kinda, I mean, the KO guard is there, but obviously then it makes the team easier to get rushed, because if Frieza's switching out once and you rush, you're sacking somebody, which is Krillin, and then your healing is not as happening as often as it used to, and so on. That's why I say Krillin at number 6. Could swap him with Kefla, but overall I think this is also a good example of that's what a support type unit is supposed to be. He's supporting, he's not doing anything else, but he doesn't need to. But he's not as toxic as Majin Buu back then, who just paralyzed and everything. So Krillin, perfect example of a good support type, just for the most broken team ever, which is unfortunate. But moving on to 7/8, because I'm not quite sure how to order this, and that's Vegeta and Feedku. This is a position where it can be like these, either Feedku's above Vegeta or Vegeta's above Feedku. I can't really decide on it. I'm gonna put Vegeta in front for favoritism, I'm sorry. But I will start with Fitku first. Also support unit. Not on a crazy team like Krillin, and he's blue, so that makes him a little bit worse. He's not on the best team in the game. That's the main difference why he's under Krillin for me. But he tanks better and provides a green card, and if you play him with Kaioken Goku, you have the Yajirobe bench, which gives you more green cards, so more Solar Flare, more AoE greens, just annoying. Feed Good overall just a very good job. He's actually surviving quite well against Frieza. And again, the support he provides, the healing for Saiyan Saga units and everything is just very good. And yeah, I'm glad this unit exists. Also, Universe 8, good job with the plat equipment. But he's also lucky that his Zenkai isn't that old compared to Gogeta's. Gogeta was like one of the very few first Zenkais we got, I think. Was he? I'm not sure, but I guess Zenkai compared to Fetus is quite old. I think that's the main problem with Gogeta. In comparison to the other Zenkais, he's like the oldest Zenkai to get a plat. But yeah, Feedku doing well overall, nothing else to say. Also, Kefla, a unit that can hurt him right now, so that's why I put him like a bit lower. And then we have Vegeta, which is an odd situation, honestly. I think for him I have to talk a little bit more, because it's kind of just weird. He has, for me, in my opinion, kind of a team issue, and I'm not saying like that he doesn't have a team at all. He has, like, he has Saiyan's powerful opponent. These are the attacks he's on, and he actually can fit there. But there's no team where it's like he can perform as good as he wants to. That's my kind of thing. For example, let's just start with powerful opponent, okay? Let's just say you're playing Ultra Frieza, Vegeta, and then either this Frieza or Cell, whatever. What ends up happening is, because this guy doesn't have a good powerful opponent bench, he will not get a Zenkai bench. So you're Zenkai buffing Frieza, you're Zenkai buffing Cell, but you're not Zenkai buffing him. Because Green Zenkai Cooler, to be specific, for whatever reason, has a movie C ability and a powerful opponent Zenkai buff. I don't know why they never fixing this, that the units that have the same Zenkai ability as their Z ability or get additional Z abilities on later, because if this cooler would get an additional movies and powerful opponent Z ability, this wouldn't be a problem, but not doing it, it's stupid, whatever. But the issue there is he's then not tanking and hitting as hard as he could on that team. So a lot of times you are on like this position of, okay, Vegeta doesn't do as much damage, so you prefer to switch into Ultra Frieza. And then he's more kind of he's the revival unit on the team, which doesn't sound bad, but the issue is he's a unit that you want to use or need to use, because his whole disrupt is reliant on him filling his unique gauge over and over. He's also stacking damage guard by it. So you need to use this unit. He's a unit that you have to build up kinda a bit, and also need to fulfill his disrupt. And if you don't do that, he's not doing much defensively. So you're sometimes in a situation where you don't want to use Vegeta, but you have to. And that sucks, because then you do less damage than you want to do. And even though the setup, which it would be a blast-based setup, would be optimal for him, he just lacks the damage and defenses and to actually perform like as good as he wants to. That's my point. And then you have the Saiyan setup where you could maybe run these two together with Vegeta, which is for one, it's the worst version with Kefla, or the worst version with Frieza. That's the one issue. And then why he is then on a strike-based team, and he can work on a strike-based team, his stats are good enough for that. With more strike cards, it gets a little bit harder to fill up his unique gauge. Also, he can work there, but his damage isn't as good as he would be on a blast-based setup. So it's just a thing of he lacks a team where he can use blast cards more, and at the same time get a Zenkai buff to do his optimal damage in tanking. Because preferably you don't want to waste his revival so fast. So that's the problem with Vegeta. He just needs a team where he actually fits on and works, where it works for him. Like, he's basically the third unit on every single team that you just slap on, but it's not, the team is not meant for him. He's just there. That's kind of the thing. Like Keflar's team with these two, this is the team we could say, this is a team that's set up for Keflar. Or Vegito on the double yellow setup that's a team where it's for Vegito, and so on. And the same for the other units, but for him, he misses that. He misses this unit, this team, where it's like, this is for Vegeta and this is where it works well. That doesn't mean it can't change in the future. It's a little bit hard because, again, his Zenkai bench options just are horrible. And the only team I can think of where his Zenkai options stay as it is, and he fits the team, is if they manage to make a movies team that's blast-based. Because then you could just leader slot him, and then he gets the, all others get the movies ability from Cooler, but he gets the Zenkai ability from Cooler as well, so it fits. But until then, this is where he stays. For me, at 7, could be number 8 if you want to. Let's move up to number 9, which I think people would not agree to this. I having full power Frieza, and also putting the number 10 so you can understand it more, and this 10 is MUI. Now, I think people would instantly say put MUI over Frieza. I can see why, and understand why. But again, for me the thing is, MUI right now doesn't do anything. It's just simply how it is. He's just has way too big problems against Ultra Frieza. That's just the thing. A team without Ultra Frieza, I could definitely see him like a bit even higher. That's like, if Frieza wasn't in every single match, I would put MUI higher for sure, because then he would be more safer to use. Because while these other greens are also really good against MUI, they don't just completely counter him. They're just good green characters or more, but Frieza just counters his entire playstyle, and if he can't manage to do anything, it's just kind of tough. And the reason I have full power Frieza, the left one over him, is just mainly for one, he's one of the very few units that are decently relevant that can be immune to the solar flare or getting fainted. Like, it's literally just him right now in the top 10. It's just him. Everyone else, solar flare hits, they can't do anything about it. And this guy on cover change is immune to status abilities like getting paralyzed, even though the one is paralyzed, but that's just one example. Getting paralyzed, getting fainted, getting solar flare. Unless you're switching it in before and then he goes for the blue card, because then he cancels his immunity. But if, for example, he uses blue card against this Frieza and then you switch him in, he's safely surviving in terms of not getting fainted and then killed or rushed or whatever. Now obviously his color doesn't work in his favor against Kaioken Goku, and he has no good cover null because it's always only on the green. That's like still the biggest issue about this guy. If his cover null was on entry, easily better, but that's kind of the situation right now. But I think just the fact that he also has permanent endurance null, like if you think about fighting this team, I honestly just rush the moment I get it, because the longer you wait for an opportunity to rush this team, which is most likely not going to happen because they just heal too much and you have the KO guard to worry anyway, I prefer to have this Frieza around, because I can then rush without worrying Frieza coming in and tanking it. Because if you rush any one of these two and Frieza just comes in surviving it, you're not getting rid of the damage guard most of the time. But with this guy, you can guaranteed kill, and at least the KO guard gets triggered, which makes it a bit easier for your team to potentially kill a unit. MUI doesn't have that. MUI against this team, except for locking in Krillin maybe with the green card, but why would you ever attack with Krillin against MUI? You would just stall until you can switch out and let the other two units handle the deck. If you're using Krillin and trying to attack MUI, you're stupid. End of the story. not doing that unless you have like really no other choice, which you most of the time have. So yeah, that's kind of the thing why I'm putting Frieza over MUI. It's not again, MUI, it's not an individual issue, it's just Ultra Frieza being just extremely counter to it. That's it. Alright, so now talking about the mention list here, these are units that I either want to talk about or are like arguably number 10 or mention worthy or new units, whatever. Cell, not putting in the number 10 is the last time because simply his defenses are way too frail at this point. He can have some good moments, he can maybe hit with the ultimate and no debuffs, so he hits pretty hard and manages to kill somebody. Like triggering the KO guard, also permanent endurance, but again, for me it's just the defenses, and that's the main point. Like Kaioken Goku, anyone who's type neutral can just hit him and he dies immediately, so that's the thing. But he provides good value with his coloring, generally speaking, and also the fact that he has permanent endurance, and also a rush from him can also be very valuable. Ultra Hit has some value, but he lacks the team to really perform at all. That's just what its issue is. It's just he has a team issue. He really has. Defensively against Frieza, it's not like he's the best, but I think really with a better team, he could definitely help. I mean, against this team specifically, you just time skip Krillin, you pop the KO guard in and rush with somebody else. You're managing something, but he needs a proper team for that. He doesn't have that yet, and if he does have it, I think he could make it a bit of a difference in the meta. Also being a unit to deal with Namegoku a bit more, so yeah. Then we have Tien, who also is just basic, no one's running him. But he's probably the best purple unit out there right now. So I'm gonna keep him here as in the mention list. If Saiyan Saga wasn't like just an issue for him, he could snipe kill Kaioken Goku and then you lose, I would put this guy even higher. Then we move to the new 3 units with Zenkai Cooler, Metal Cooler, and King Cold. I'm gonna start with Metal Cooler. You probably all heard how bad he is at this point. I even made a video myself about how bad he is. So I'm not gonna go into deep detail, but to sum it up for people who have no idea what's going on with this unit. This unit is a defensive unit that can't tank, can't do damage. So in short, he doesn't do anything. In fact, he's hurting you because Namegoku is in every single game. And he deals so much damage to him that you will lose either because he dies too fast. Like, these are the 2 options. Either he's dying too fast and doesn't do anything, or you manage to keep this guy alive, but because he does nothing else, and you basically have 2 units to do the damage, you're not winning. Because this team or with Krillin is most likely gonna survive the timer, and then you lose the damage because Namegoku does so much damage to this unit. It's just not worth running him. He's just bad. I would say, like, people always, when bad LF comes out, people are always like, he needs an emergency buff, like with Yellow Goku Black, God Goku. I think these units were like, they're bad, but I don't think they're emergency buff bad. I don't even think Go Frieza back then was emergency buff bad. Like, Go Frieza didn't perform as he was, like, expected to by the devs, but I don't think this guy was like horrible. Like, he was like in the top 10 at least, but Metal Cooler is like the one unit I would say that he's so bad that I would consider that they should have emergency buff him. And even if Namegoku wasn't on the list, he would still be bad. Like, with Namegoku, he right now he's the definition of useless, and without Namegoku, he's just still horrible. Because he has so many individual issues, and any type neutral unit could just destroy this guy. Like, this guy destroys him. Even this guy type disadvantage can sometimes destroy him. And again, I had this situation. Vegeta, type neutral without a Zenkai buff at 7 stars, destroyed my Metal Cooler who's Zenkai buffed at 6 stars. There's no way this guy is good. It's just not. And in fact, I would even say if I had to order this, he would be at the end of this. Then we move to his father, King Cold. Also talked about him in a video about Damage God and the problem with it. So, to make it simple, this guy is a fun unit to use. He has actual things he provides to the team. I think everybody can clearly see what the intention with this unit was. But he's so bad defensively that he's basically not that good. And that's coming from a guy who has him at 13 stars. So imagine what the average guy at 7-8 stars has experience with him. Not a good one. He destroys him, E-type neutral destroys him, everyone destroys this King Cold defensively. He's just way too frail, and that's what happens if you give units only 170% damage guard in a world where every other else, with every other else I mean LFs and Ultras, have over 200. The devs, brain cells leaving during this year, I think. I don't know. Like before this whole change with damage guard, everybody had 70% reduced damage received, including 1%. After that they said, why would we do that? Give everybody who's not on LF lower. Don't understand why, don't understand how they came up with this. Yeah, that's... I talked about that in the video, I don't have to repeat myself on that. Last thing, Red Cooler. Basically the same issue as King Cold. In theory, he looks good. In practice, he lacks the defenses. And offensively, he should have been a bit better so that he actually can snipe kill this unit, because get this guy out of this meta, please. That's basically all I have to say about Cooler. It's just really that. He doesn't do offensively enough. His snipe, he has some snipe potential against this guy, but it's just way too inconsistent. Because if this guy gets his full unique gauge before you manage to snipe him, he has like 20 timer counts of type neutrality that you can't cancel, and this guy is not hitting hard against type neutral units. So yeah. And the funny thing is, if you're playing these two guys together, every time you make a hit, he's reducing his sub count. So the original 3 seconds where this guy can just hit Namek Goku without doing anything, this guy making this to basically 2 timer counts, and then it's like whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the list. Also, forgot to mention him. The Ginyu Force, I didn't see enough for them to really talk about them. From what I've seen, I think the offenses are fine. I think the defenses, again, also not good enough to make them like really good. But I will say they are usable. I think they're good enough to be usable. I would even say, on this list, everybody is kinda usable except for Metacooler. Metacooler is straight up unusable. Worse than Evolution Blue Vegeta is unusable. It's just this guy. Again, one lock-in strike into a blue card and you're taking like at least 4 million damage. Imagine that one scenario is basically getting Rising Rush. And remember, if this guy gets lock-in rushed, whew, you're not winning anymore, you're just not. So yeah. Yeah, that's the Dragon Ball Legends tier list for this campaign. Let me know what you guys think about this list and the ordering. And see you guys hopefully in the next more positive video, because I think lastly my videos have all been kinda more negative than positive. I mean this tier list isn't necessarily negative, but nothing really changed in the meta. It really, this whole thing, and the thing is, I'm gonna do a video once I'm 100% certain that this campaign is over, because yeah, it's just a thing I have to talk about this, I think. But I hope next campaign is gonna be better and actually have some meta changing units. Yeah, I hope you guys have a nice day. See you guys in the next one.